What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. I'm making this video for some injury updates we got from Pete Carroll on Seattle Sports, the radio show earlier today. He actually says quite a bit here. He kind of already indicates what he thinks is going to happen this week, which you don't always get at the start of the week. So that's pretty cool. So I thought I'd go ahead and just go over it real quick and talk it through. And we also have a very relevant health update from the Steelers with their quarterback situation. So it's all definitely worth uncovering. So let's start with the good news here. Pete Carroll said of Devon Witherspoon that he is running today, which is a really good sign. And he also indicated that he was very close to being able to play last week against the Titans. So if he almost played against the Titans and he's running today, that means he's probably going to be back for this upcoming Steelers game, which is great news. The Titans were a team that didn't really have the receivers to threaten us, but a team like the Steelers, even though their passing attack is not the best, they do have a very intriguing young receiver in George Pickens, and having somebody like a Devon Witherspoon to throw at him is going to be valuable for sure. So this is a good indication. This is the good news. This is definitely the good news that we have this today. Devon Witherspoon looks like he will be back. At this point, I think only a setback would prevent him from being able to play against the Steelers. So good news there, and that's the really important one. Now, the next update we got is not so good. Jordan Brooks' ankle is sore, and it'll be hard to get him back this week, according to Pete. When Pete says it's going to be hard to get him back, it's hard to imagine that he will be back. Now, granted, Jordan Brooks has shown that he's a fast healer. He showed it this offseason, and he showed it earlier this season. But I'm not getting an indication that Jordan Brooks is going to be able to play in this upcoming game, and as much as I don't think Jordan Brooks is the elite linebacker some people paint him out to be, I think he has been quite good this year, quite valuable. And there's some stuff that he does that we will miss for sure with him not out there. So this is definitely a bummer. Definitely a little bit concerned about his availability going beyond this game too, because you kind of open the floodgates at a certain point with whether or not he'll be back. And Jordan Brooks is a player who heavily depends on his athleticism and speed. So any kind of a lingering injury, even a tiny one, really could matter. So concerned about this one for sure. Doesn't sound like he'll be ready to go this week, but we will see how things go as the week progresses, and you never know. Pete gave one more injury update concerning a Jamal Adams. He was kind of in the middle about this one. He said that he's going to try to get back this week. He's had some rest now and may be able to bounce back this week. He was very vague here. So Carroll basically gave us the good news, the bad news, and the neutral news. Now, I don't know how much people want Jamal Adams back at this point because Julian Love has played pretty well since he's taken that job full time. And Adams played really poorly in his last two games before this injury took him out. At the same time, I do have to admit that there's something he can do on this defense to make it better. Maybe it's not playing every snap. Maybe it's not playing every game. Maybe you play him every other week. Maybe the play would be to play him against the Steelers, bench him against the Cardinals, and then play him in the playoffs if you make the playoffs. Maybe that's the play. But I don't... As bad as he did look last time he played, I'm not convinced that he's incapable of doing something of value for this team. I look at Adams and I go, there's something there that we can utilize properly. There has to be. And maybe it's only for 15 snaps a game, but I mean, he's better than Teez Tabor, right? He's got to be better than a guy like that. He's honestly probably better than Kobe Bryant playing safety right now based on what Kobe Bryant did in that Titans game with that one Tannehill play. So for me, I look at this and I go, I do want him back, but I don't want the team to go on autopilot when he gets back. I don't want them to think, oh, Adams is back. That means he plays every snap at strong safety like we were before. There's a better way to do this. But yeah, no clarity there. It seems like he's got a chance to come back. It seems like 50-50. We'll find out more as the week goes on. But we did get quite a bit of information from Pete. We also got a good amount of information from Mike Tomlin earlier today. Kenny Pickett is very close to full health this week, but he is deciding to roll with the guy who played so well in the most recent Steelers game at quarterback, and that is Mason Rudolph. So this is obviously kind of interesting because this is a case of a player kind of losing his starting job because of an injury. And you don't see that very often. And generally speaking, it's not a practice that people really like to partake in. But Mason Rudolph played one of the best games of his career. Now, that's a very low bar to clear, but he did genuinely play a good game against the Bengals, and they're deciding to roll with it. And in fairness, the Steelers are practically eliminated from the playoffs. They have a very small playoff chance, so maybe they're not even thinking about that. Maybe they're just thinking Kenny Pickett's our long-term starter at quarterback, so therefore we're not going to play him until he's 100% because we're not making the playoffs anyway, so we don't really have anything to gain by risking him. But would they do this if Rudolph had played bad against the Bengals? I don't know. That's we'll never know because he didn't play poorly against the Bengals. He played quite well. So we're getting Mason Rudolph. I think I prefer that. We have a pretty decent sample size with Mason Rudolph in his career to indicate that he's just not very good. He played quite a bit of football in 2019, including most of the game against the Seahawks that year in week 2. And he didn't have a good season. He was not good that year. He was very middling. He's a backup quarterback. He's a career backup, and he should never really be a long-term option as a starter for any team. And it's hard to imagine that he's ever going to be at any point in his life one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL. So while Kenny Pickett's obviously got his own set of problems, I do think there's probably a little bit more there. Now, Mason Rudolph is going into this game on a little bit of a hot streak. Does that change things? I mean, the hot streak is really basically one game, right? He played really well against the Bengals, and that's it. So I don't want to read too much into that. Now, our defense is bad. So anybody could pick us apart. Anybody could have success against us because our defense is that bad. And if they don't have Jordan Brooks, they're at least a little bit worse. So I'm not saying that we're going to be able to shut him down, but I do look at that and I go, I'd rather play Rudolph than Pickett. Not that I think there's a huge difference, but right now this team needs every edge that they can get because it's not like we're a great team all of a sudden just because we've won a couple games in a row. It's nice to win a couple games in a row, but we still need all the help we can get to make sure we secure these wins. And I think getting a guy like Rudolph, even though Pickett is younger and would probably be a little more rattled by playing on the road in Seattle in front of that crowd, which I'm sure is going to get pretty rowdy for that game because so much is at stake. I think I'd rather deal with Rudolph because the ceiling is just much lower. And let's face it, with the way he played last week, he's due for a bad game. All right, so those are the updates we got. See you guys later. We'll find out more as the week goes on, but we have a pretty full picture here. Mason Rudolph is starting for the Steelers. Witherspoon will probably be back. Brooks will probably not be back. Adams, either way. All right, catch you guys later. More videos coming later today. Stream tonight with the Hawks Nest. Hope to see you guys there. Go Hawks. Let's keep on building on this little train we've got running.